Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Khaireen Zhafri bin Zamzuri and I am from section 1, MEC 2211, and my metric number is 2017709. And today I will present on automatic transmission. Firstly, we go to the function of automatic transmission. Automatic transmission, or also known as auto or AT, is a multi-speed transmission used in motor vehicles that does not require any driver input to change forward gears under normal condition. Automatic transmission changes gear automatically. The primary job of an automatic transmission is to allow the engine to operate in its narrow range of speeds while providing a wide range of output speeds. The most common type of automatic transmission is the hydraulic automatic, which uses a planetary gear set, hydraulic controls, and a torque converter. The transmission is connected to the engine via a torque converter instead of the friction clutch used by most manual transmissions. The transmission uses a pressurized fluid to transfer power to the gears. Next, we go to the components of automatic transmission. Firstly, transmission casing, known as bell casing because of its shape, and it protects all the moving gears of the transmission and has various sensors that track input rotational speed from the engine and output rotational speed to the rest of the car. Secondly, torque converter. The torque converter sits between the engine and the transmission. The torque converter transfers power from the engine to the transmission input shaft and multiplies engine torque output. The torque converter consists of 4 parts: pump, turbine, stator, and a torque converter clutch. On this right hand side, we can see this is the diagram of the torque converter. Thirdly, planetary gears. An automatic transmission usually contains more than one planetary gear set. They work together to create multiple gear ratios. The planetary gears consist of 3 components: a sun gear, planet gears, and their carriers and ring gear. Lastly, brake bands and clutches. Brake bands and clutches can tighten to hold the ring or sun gear stationary or loosen them to let them spin, and the tightening or loosening of the gears is controlled by a hydraulic system. So the diagram on this bottom right hand side is the brake bands and the clutches. Next, I will explain on the working principle of an automatic transmission. Firstly, the automatic transmission uses a combination of mechanical, fluid, and electrical engineering. First, the engine sends power to the torque converter's pump. Then the pump sends power to the torque converter's turbine through transmission fluid. Next, the turbine sends the transmission fluid back to the pump via the stator. The stator multiplies the power of the transmission fluid, allowing the pump to send more power back to the turbine. A vortex power rotation is created inside the torque converter. Then the turbine is connected to a central shaft that connects to the transmission, and as the turbine spins, the shaft spins, sending power to the first planetary gear set of the transmission. In the transmission, multiple disc clutch or brake band is engaged. The power from the torque converter will either cause the sun gear, planet gears, or the ring gear of the planetary gear system to move or to stay stationary. Lastly, the gear ratio depends on which parts of the planetary gear system are moving or not. Whatever the arrangement of the planetary gear will determine the amount of power transmission. Lastly, these are the advantages and limitations of automatic transmission. So one of the advantages of the automatic transmission is the ability to drive without the need for a clutch. Next, individuals who are less fortunate or with many disabilities are able to drive since operation only requires 2 usable links. Thirdly, automatic transmission eliminates the need to pay attention to shifting manually and monitoring the tachometer to make necessary shifts, giving more attention to driving. Fourthly, hydraulic automatic transmission creates a phenomenon called idle creep, which encourages the vehicle to move forward even when idling. Lastly, it reduces the risk of stalling and better for hilly areas. These are the examples of the limitations of automatic transmissions. Firstly, expensive gearbox, and the gearbox is so complex. Secondly, less fuel efficient because of a lack of control on the torque converter. Automatic transmission consumes 10% more fuel than manual transmission. Thirdly, the time taken for gear change between high and low will be longer. Next, the maintenance is very costly and limited torque capacity. And lastly, it may not be suited for off-road driving. So that is all for me. Thank you and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.